I knew.
One more. Ready, go.
Hi, everyone. Jessica Miller here from Sibling Rivalries, and I'm here joined as always with my brother,
Hi.
John. Hi. You have a
Hi.
glare on your glasses, by the way.
I'm
Like, can you,
sorry.
no contacts today? That's better.
We'll take them
See,
off
now
and
he
then I
looks
won't
like
be
a
able
mean
to read.
retired guy. So anyway, we are back for the new year. We are recharged, refreshed, ready to go. It is going to be a great year for us. We have both decided that we started this project off with a bang, and then we promptly got busy. And so that was stupid. And we have both.
It was stupid to get busy. Oh,
It
hey,
was stupid.
hey,
Um,
moving from Japan was stupid. You should have just stayed there. Uh,
yeah. Oh, I'd come visit you again, though. I miss Japan.
I'm not sure we're live.
It says live. Here, let me get on
Oh,
my
it does.
phone. This is fun.
I'm just,
Let me get on my
I'm
phone and
on.
see if we're there.
Think I did it right.
I'll see it. I'm not seeing it. Oh no, we're live. We're live. There we are.
But are we live? Are we live live?
Yeah, well, there's a little delay, but we're live. Okay. We're live on the Facebook. People
You
are
still don't
watching us
see
and
me?
thinking, why can't these two
Still
get
don't
their
see
act
me?
together? No, we are. I just watched it on the phone.
Okay. All right.
Believe me.
Well, I'm
We're
just gonna
there.
go with that then.
Okay.
I can't
You want me to
confirm it,
keep?
but
Okay.
I'm
Would
gonna.
you like me to confirm it? Hold
No,
on.
I'm looking at the thing and the thing's not working. Is that is that no? Is it on the Facebook page or the group?
Oh, did you go? It should be on the page because we don't use the group.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, we're there. Because you can only go to the page. You can't. Did you do the group? Because that's only you and me in that group. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Let's go.
Okay. Anyway,
Let's talk about
so
what we're talking about.
so what we are doing this week is you and I have been we decided to do master class this year as one of our
Yeah.
educational goals. Correct?
Yeah. Well, I thought we were gonna do something else, and then you're like, "Surprise! I bought Masterclass. Let's do this." Which was your subtle way of saying no to the other things that I wanted to do.
But as the overachiever that you are, you've already blown through like way more master class than I have.
Oh yeah, I've done. I think I've done like 5 of them now. I learned magic.
Did you bring a trick?
I did, but it's. I mean, it's not going to work over the internet.
Why not? They do
Like
it on
here,
TV all the
pick
time.
a card. It's, here,
I wish we would
here. I picked
have.
it
We
for
would.
you. This is your card.
Okay, got it.
Is this your card?
Oh my God, that was
It
amazing.
was, wasn't it? But yeah, I'm learning magic. No, there's so much to
I,
do on there, and we're not a
yeah.
paid advertisement. We're
Oh, we
not.
definitely aren't
I
getting
wish we
paid.
were.
We
That'd be
paid to do
cool.
master class.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm in addition to the one that we're going to talk about today, I'm doing Misty Copeland, who talks about ballet technique, and that's pretty legit. Like, not that I'm going to be able to use any of it because she's amazing, but it's fun to
Yeah,
listen to her talk about her artistry. So,
that's
so
cool.
uh,
That's
what did
how
we
I get
choose for
started.
our first one?
We did, well, we're doing Steve Martin, right? I hope that's
We're
the
doing
one that
Steve.
you've been doing because that's one of the
No,
ones
I
I've
did.
been doing.
I was doing Gordon Ramsay. No, I'm just kidding.
Dang it. We're out of sync
No, Steve
already.
Steve Martin.
Yeah.
So let's start
I
with
have
that.
notes.
Why do you think Steve Martin? You were drawn to Steve Martin as one of the master
Well,
classes to
I
do.
was drawn to Steve Martin because you were like, "Ooh, these all sound great. What about Steve Martin?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." So that's how I was drawn to it.
Do you want
Um,
me to Do you want me to tell you about why I was drawn to Steve Martin?
well, I, you know, well, okay. So I was drawn to Steve Martin. Like I acquiesced to the Steve Martin decision because I enjoy Steve Martin's comedy. Like
Hmm.
he's a very very funny person, all the way back to his like stand up, his early stand up days was like his very his physicality is really cool. His nonverbal communication is legit. And that's one of my favorite things. And his movies are a lot of fun. Who doesn't love The Jerk?
I know. I wrote that down.
That is a
Why
great
Steve
movie.
Martin? And I was like, basically, I just started listing all the movies that I love: L.A. Story, The Jerk, Dirty Rotten
Yeah.
Scoundrels.
It's open season on the freeway. Oh,
The
so
first day of
good.
spring. First day of spring.
And now you can't even own a gun in California.
Oh no, it's that movie. That movie did it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
actually
that's
kind
cool.
of this obscure movie called The Big Year. Have you ever seen that one?
Uh-uh.
It's got him and Jack Black and who's the guy with the big nose? What with the white hair? Another comedian. But it's about birding, and it's about these three guys who are like avid birders, and they have this year where they're trying to find this list. I mean, it sounds like a nerdy movie, right?
Yeah, it
But
sounds
it's
like right up my alley, though.
incredibly funny, and it's actually, to me, it kind of explains like Steve Martin to me, because I think he's a good observer of people, right? He observes situations and he finds the funny in it, or he finds that human moment. And so he takes something like birding, which like most people don't like birding, unless you're me, and he made this really great movie about it. So that's
You're
why
gonna
I
start
love.
birding this year. I think that's something you should
That's
say
my
no
goal.
to.
When I retire, I'm gonna bird.
No, you should just. Here's the great thing about birding: you could just go to YouTube and look up any bird you want and look at a picture of it.
I have bird books. I could do that. I want to go hike and then find the birds and then listen for the call. That's definitely a finch, or maybe it's a
Caw, caw, caw.
bird. That's an eagle.
You suck. You suck. No, so Steve Martin, the way masterclass is done, like I've done a lot of online learning, either through LinkedIn or Great Courses or Linda Learning, or I consume a lot of educational content, right,
Mhm.
from the internet. I think masterclass is really well done. So all the classes that I've taken so far, like they're really well shot, they're really well put together, they're not like Great Courses is pretty distracting sometimes, but it's also more academic, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're sitting and listening to a college professor versus master classes like, hey, I'm going to have a conversation with you about how it's more of a mentoring conversation, which I find really cool. So you have that chance to listen to Steve Martin talk about like how he did it, which he acknowledges isn't the only way to do it. It's just what works for him,
Yeah.
which is fun.
Yeah. I was
And he's
introduced
really
to
fun.
the I was introduced to the concept in general of master classes through ballet, because in performing arts, that is something they do. They bring in a professional artist, and you have like a 90-minute, a 2-hour session with them where they are practically helping you, and then you're kind of learning from their experiences as they teach a class. And so I think that is just a really great way to grow, especially in areas like stand-up comedy, cooking, like the things that they're covering in masterclass, negotiations, all of those things. Those aren't necessarily taught in school in an academic way. They're very hands-on. So that
No,
makes sense.
and you get decades worth of experience. So one of the things that I really like about a guy like Tim Ferriss, right? He's a human behavior hacker.
Hmm.
One of the things that he says that really resonates with me is that you don't have to be a master at everything, but if you could do something at 80%, you're doing pretty good. So I'm trying to get to like a 40% magic solution where I could do a couple of tricks, but it's fun. It's fun to be able to just do a couple of tricks. So
And
being able to do a couple of tricks, a little bit of magic, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of cooking, like all this stuff. It's fun. It's
I
a lot
agree.
of fun.
I think it's going to be a good year.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely a good
all
time.
right. So, big picture. Have you finished? Have you finished the whole
No,
thing? Okay.
hold on. I've got it up right now. I finished lesson 8 yesterday.
Oh, okay. So I'm finishing up I think it's 10. It's the one where they have the students
The
come in and
workshops. Yeah.
the workshop. So I'm in the middle of the workshop. So we're kind of in
Yeah.
the same spot.
Yeah.
So far, what is your big picture? What do you think? What have you overall gleaned from Steve Martin that like your big takeaway right now?
Um, that you don't have to say everything that you want to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
That and that's probably just because of uh, my leaning towards nonverbal communication.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the funniest things that he is known for that he does is the physicality of
Yeah.
his comedy. Like one of my favorite things that he talked about was how he took a drink of, he made a gag out of a joke out of taking a sip of water because that sip of water is something you have to do as a
Mm-hmm.
comedian to get through your act. But he was able to take that necessity and work it into his act and make it useful and funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the kind of the context is like I'm not a comedian. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be a comedian anytime soon in my life, but I do a significant amount of work with people and I do presentations and I talk to people and I have an audience that I have to manage and so his ability to look at the persona that he projects to manage his audience and to influence what they're thinking and feeling and remembering and laughing about, it's all very powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The
I think big,
intentionality of it.
yeah. I think the big picture for me is that when you have, like, for him, it's stand-up comedy. So in the framework of stand-up comedy, you have this thing that you have to do, right? And from the moment you step on stage to the moment you leave, you have to have thought about everything, what you're wearing, how you're walking on stage, how you're going to open it up, when you're going to be silent, when you're going to make a joke, and don't. For me personally, it's like don't get to the. You don't want to get to the end. You need to lead the audience to figure out what's funny for themselves, and then also um, observe them so that you're not like breaking that moment. So I love it when he talked about um, like you need to listen to the audience and know in terms of timing, like, hey, I need to wait a moment before I say this next word because it's important and they need to hear it so that the whole big picture is got. So that's what I liked. It was all this whole package of timing, delivery, listening and observing, and really being intentional in everything that you do when you are putting something out into the world.
Yeah,
So
and I like that, but I think you could. It also has to be done in a way that's authentic,
yeah, it has
right?
to be you.
It has to be really you. And so he talked about some of the times when through trial and error that he tried something and it just didn't work, and he was willing to be like, well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that,
Yeah,
cut that. And it's
yeah,
more his process. It seems like it was more of try everything and prune than try to perfect one thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he basically grew into the artist that he was through a series of
Trial
pruning
and
out
error.
failures, right?
Yeah.
Like that didn't work, but this keeps working, so I'm going to keep doing that. So it's more of a refining process than I don't know, I don't want to say not a creative process, but it's like
It was
it's more of
creative,
a
practical.
reductive process instead of like you add a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff and then you reduce, add a bunch of
Well,
stuff and then reduce until you find what's working, and
he
then don't be
well he
afraid to
talked about
change.
that. He talked
Yeah,
about that. Like you have to go if you want to be a stand-up comedian. You go and you do the work. Like you go and get on stage. You can't just think about it, write jokes in your living room. You have to try it night after night after night after night. And it's only through that trial and error and that process that you figure out what works, what doesn't, what works for you.
yeah. And I think
So.
that it goes back to a book that I really enjoyed. It's called Educating Intuition.
Hmm.
So when you start out in any venture, there's such a steep learning curve that you just it takes a lot of effort and energy to understand what's going on, and then
Yeah.
eventually after years of doing it, you just do it. You just
Yeah.
understand it because you've trained your intuition to react in the given scenario. Like I think the first time you probably ever stood in front of a jury, it's a lot different now when you stand in
Oh
front of
yeah.
a jury versus
Oh
the
yeah.
first time because your
Oh my.
intuition is stabilized. So you could walk in and maybe your brain is taking in all this information from the jury box, right?
Hmm.
Is that what they still call it, a jury box?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
from
where the
the
jury
jury box.
sits.
Yeah. So you sit there and you scan the jury, and you automatically, in the back of your mind, in your subconscious, have already made a bunch of qualified assumptions about
Yeah.
how your interactions are going to work that you used to have to do a lot of thinking about. So
Yeah.
I think that's what he means by do the work. Like
Yeah.
you gotta do the 2 hour, the 2 3 hour shows night after night after night after night before you have the ability to do the one show.
Yeah. The
You
big
know,
show, the one
the
you're
big
aiming
show.
for, right?
Yeah,
The HBO
yeah.
special, whatever,
You have to get
Netflix
that
special.
level of experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have
I do.
any favorite? Do you have any favorite moments so far? Things that you've written down, like, oh my gosh, I have to remember this,
Oh,
for
yeah.
whatever
I've
reason.
got a bunch of quotes that I wrote down. Um, there's a star by this one. Talk
Ooh.
about it all the time for days. What if? What if? What if? What if? So, uh, if it's something you want to do, um, his anecdotal lesson was he was always talking about comedy. Like
Yeah.
he would sit down with his friends and they would talk about jokes and they would joke and they would riff about jokes and they would always be doing it because it's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that topic point when you find it, oh, Jason's coming in. I see him.
Jason's coming in. Jason's coming in.
He brought
Hold
coffee
on.
and breakfast. Lock him out.
Lock him out. He brought coffee and breakfast. Lock him out. Thank
I
you.
heard all that.
We're live.
I know.
Look at now I'm double. Thank you. Now I'm double fisted with coffee.
That's great. Now I
I'm just
forgot
gonna
what we're
warm
talking.
that up because I drink coffee all day.
It's an issue.
Yeah,
for
that's kind of like
Jessica.
your thing. Oh,
Yeah.
she said no, Jason.
I saw that.
Look at 1, 2. I have my carafe, and then also I have my water.
Wow.
Like I said, she has a problem. She collects cups throughout the day.
Anyway, I like to be
This is-
hydrated.
This is always been a problem for her.
It has been.
And it used to be, now my kids do it because it's been genetically passed down. That nobody could just use one cup all day. They have to, every time they get a
No.
drink, they have to get a new cup.
Yep, that's a thing. That's a thing for Nelson's because my kids do it too. I will have an armful of cups every single day when I come home to clean up the house. So,
No, I have one.
okay.
A cup.
Your
It's full
cup
of
pour.
Moving on, what's one of your favorite lessons?
Okay, so one of my favorite lessons was that you don't have to pound the point in the entire time. So for in the context of comedy, like if you're into political satire, you don't have to do just that. You want to have 1 or 2 moments, and the audience is going to remember those 1 or 2 moments. So have 1 or 2 really crafted moments where the
Yeah, and
point is come across.
And everything kind of feeds into that, right? What are they
Mhm.
what are they walking out the door with?
Yeah. So I like that in my own world. I do a lot of oral argument, and so I like rather than just like saying the same thing over and over again, working around those 1 or 2 moments, and then they'll have more impact at the end. So
What a-
I'm actually gonna start trying to do that. I did that. I had an oral argument yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try this out, and it flowed really well.
Yeah.
So
And the highest level of that is when you can have the discussion around a topic and the person that you're trying to persuade or maybe influence comes up with the idea themselves and you just go,
Mhm.
yeah, that's great, I agree.
yeah.
And then it's their idea,
Yeah, I
like
I
doing
definitely
Steve Martin's masterclass.
Steve Martin taught me that trick.
Yeah.
Any other one you want to share?
Well, there's two things that I really like about master classes is there's usually like a nugget, like a book hidden somewhere
Mhm.
in there. So he was talking about how he got started, and
Mhm.
this is one of my favorite how I got started stories because he was selling guidebooks at Disneyland,
I know I picked up
and I
on that
was
too.
like, "Are you kidding me? I should be
I knew
working
this
at
story, by the way.
Disneyland.
I knew
All
that
of my
story.
kids need to go to Disneyland." But anyway, he was
Mhm.
working at Disneyland selling guidebooks, and he met a magician, and the magician was like, "Read this book." So he went and read that book, and it was I wrote it down, Showmanship for Magicians.
Hmm.
So it's, I mean, that's in my Amazon cart right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna order it and read it, put it on my bookshelf, and one day my kids are gonna be like, what is with this eclectic old man and his weird bookshelf?
Yeah.
Like it goes, the range of topics is insane, but that's what I like about things like Masterclass is being able to take comedy
Hmm.
uh, and apply it to what I do professionally and how I raise my family or manage my family, raise my kids. All those things are very relevant when you get to the point where you could say, hey, it doesn't directly influence what I'm doing, but it's got a strong parallel, and you could nug those things out. So
Yeah, one of the other things for me that I really liked is he talked about mining your life, like constantly
yeah,
being aware of what's going around you. And I kind of do this already anyway. I don't write them down. I know you that you're huge on writing things down, but I remember that show Scrubs, where like he always had like the backstory. Do you remember that show, Scrubs? You don't, do you? Okay,
I've
so
never
Scrubs
watched it.
was
I know it was a show in the
okay.
'90s about
So
doctors.
yeah, but the main doctor, he would have like this backstory that happened. So someone would say something funny, and then all of a sudden it would be in like this fantasy world. He was like living this other thing. So like I find myself doing that all the time. Like someone comes in and something really weird or funny happens, and so all of a sudden I've created this entire backstory of people. Like when I first started working at the DA's office, I made fake autobiographies for everybody that I worked with
Like
for
for
fun.
real or just in your mind?
No, well, I did it a little bit for real with my team because it was funny. But
Oh, that's fun.
that was pretty accurate. And so,
Yeah,
like,
so people
I
call
like
that
this.
profiling, and it's like actually a trade in law enforcement.
Um, so like for example, my supervisor, like I had this whole backstory that he went to Cal Berkeley, and which he did. So I knew he went to Cal Berkeley. He's very eco conscious, but he also is super like wants to be trendy. And so I'm like, yeah, he went and he rushed a fraternity, but then when he realized that they were going to haze him, he was like, nope, F that crap, I'm not going to be in this. So he quit, and then he went and joined the environmental club. And like so I make these kind of assumptions, and I was telling him, and he's like, Jessica, that's actually pretty accurate. And I'm like, yes. So
You've
I
got a
like the
strong
idea of
intuition for
mining.
that stuff.
For me, mining is helpful because I have to tell a story. When I'm doing a closing argument, like I have to tell a story, but I have to do it in a creative way and a way where people can relate to me. And so like the idea of
Across a lot of
mining,
cultural boundaries too, right?
yeah. So like through personal observation, like I feel like if I could start to write those personal observations down, I think it would be helpful in those situations where like I need to kind of encapsulate something unique to a jury that our juries in Butte County are pretty non-diverse, and so it's hard for them to get a picture of what especially crimes that happen to criminals. Like it's hard for them to understand that, and so that's one of the things I took is just
You're
this
not
like
here to evaluate this person as a criminal. You're here to evaluate the crime that was.
yeah, but it's hard like that conceptually they get it, but like in internally they're like that person was selling marijuana and he got shot. Who cares?
Yeah,
And so
it's a
you have to
bias.
figure out ways to get
Getting
them. Yeah, I know.
helping people
That
that
this is
aren't
completely off
trained to
track.
defeat. Yeah, but helping people that aren't trained to defeat bias. Defeat bias is
Yeah. Well,
incredibly
and
hard.
and my job is to overcome that bias and give them a reason to care. Like, because I have to acknowledge that even if someone is saying they don't have biases, we all have biases. And so, like, working through that is something that I've been mulling over quite a bit at work. So
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite favorite moments as well. So I
that's
think we
cool.
already talked about the fourth topic, which is translating it into every day. Like
Yeah,
I really feel like I've got some stuff that I want to like I'm going to start working on professionally, just in terms of delivery for
yeah, like
and
playing the banjo. I think you need to learn how to do that.
well I
Hammer
picked
claw
up the
banjo
ukulele.
style.
I play the ukulele, right? I can play
Wow.
5 songs.
Yeah, that's
Ukulele.
great. That's really good.
I have
You know
two.
what I like? Anna plays the ukulele, and I'm
I
probably saying
know.
it wrong. But even when you're practicing, it's still a magical instrument to listen to.
Isn't it? I sit there and I just do like CAG, and I'm like, I love the ukulele.
Having grown up in a house where somebody learned how to play the piano, that is a nightmare instrument to listen to. Somebody learn on.
Tell me more, John.
You know this. Because it sounds like hammering death notes when you get it wrong. The ukulele sounds intentional no matter how you play it.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, I don't even know what notes these are. It's all
It just sounds good. It's just automatically there I am in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wanted to go back to that 1 to 2 moments thing because I was thinking about that in terms of Steve Martin's work, right? Like the things that I remember about his comedy and his and now he writes screenplays and musicals. And I actually went to Brightside, which is a musical that he wrote. I don't know when he wrote it, but they did it up in Paradise, and it's this really kind of this. It's a tragic musical, so it ends up well, but there's like these really tragic moments, and there's this one moment at the end where everything's coming together. Like this freaking musical, they threw a baby off a train. Like, was not prepared for that. It turns out well in the end. It's just this really, really well thought out.
I don't know how that ever turns out well.
It turns out fine. It turns out fine. Baby's not dead. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler. I don't know if you ever see Brightside, but
raised by Blue in the wild.
Basically, he's Mowgli raised by Okies in Tennessee. Like,
okay. Wait, are they Okies in Tennessee? Because you know an Okie is from Oklahoma, right?
They transplanted. They transplanted to Tennessee.
Okay. Get your crap together over there.
Anyway, do you want to hear my quote or not?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I have written this down. This is one of my favorite quotes ever, and it says, "Truth seeks us out, then walks beside us like a shadow, and one day it merges with us. Until it does, we are not truly whole." Right?
Truth.
Truth seeks us out.
Okay.
Are you listening? Focus.
Yes.
Truth seeks us out, then walks beside us like a shadow, and one day it merges with us. Until it does, we are not truly whole. It's good. I love it. It's so good.
It's good.
Oh, shut up.
It's good. It's good, but I think it.
In context of the musical, it's all about these people who are living. They're living a lie because they don't know that this baby is alive, right? And so they're all just kind of circling in this unhappy existence. And then when it all comes together and they find out what really happened, then they become whole. They start living who they're meant to be. So,
I mean, that's very duckies and bunnies, right?
Rainbows and puppies. I do like rainbows and puppies.
Duckies and bunnies. It's a fun esoteric quote.
I love it.
I can see why you like it.
I love it.
You're supposed to be like, what does that mean, John? What does that mean?
I'm not playing into your games.
No, I just don't think that. I think that truth is too esoteric of a concept to have.
Truth is individualized, right? So truth is individualized. This is the way I feel about it. Like, you have your own personal way of being, right? And if you're not living how you want or what's in line with your personal values, like you're not truly living. So, like, sure. you can't look at someone else and say like they're living their truth. You have no idea, right? Because that is a personal thing.
Are they living their Instagram truth or their Facebook truth or their walking through the neighborhood truth?
I know.
What facts are you using to assess truth?
You can't assess
Are
truth
those
on
facts accurate?
Yeah. Well, even in my profession, like, we're looking for justice, and you have what happened, and then you have what you know, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people, and you're trying to assess what happened based on people's perceptions of what happened, and it's always a little bit skewed. So you always have to look for some ways to cooperate that person's perception is accurate. So. Yeah. I don't know. We are completely.
There's a fun research project going on in the Rand Corporation right now called it's the study of truth decay,
Truth decay.
which I think is a fun play on words, but it's all about how society has a hard time believing facts anymore.
Oh, it's
Because
true.
we don't trust the institutions that present facts.
Yeah. That is
So there's a
absolutely
di-
true.
There's a decaying perception of what actually is the truth,
Yeah. It
Yeah.
sucks. It
which,
sucks.
as a student of magic, like
I
my
don't think
ability
it's
to do tricks, maybe it is magic. Maybe it's just science.
Maybe it's science. I don't know.
Yeah. So masterclass has been fun.
Yeah.
I'll be finishing it up this week, and then we'll recap the final thoughts,
Okay.
and
I'll
then
let you
maybe
pick
we could
this one.
maybe we could do like a poll or something and see if we could put like all of them out there and let the people pick what
Let's
we do
pick
next.
4. Give them 4 options. How
Are
about
you
that?
scared?
Well, no, I just don't want to overwhelm them with choices.
Yeah.
I don't want to overwhelm Mom with choices. He's our only
that's
avid
true.
viewer.
No, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be good. Well, awesome. I'm glad that we did it. It was a good way to start the new year.
Yeah. So if you'll notice, I saved this this Facebook Live meeting as 2020 episode 1. So
Sounds like
episode
Star Wars.
2 will be next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, we're not
What-
on,
what are
but
you
that's what
pointing
we
at?
put it on. The like is down, right?
Like, subscribe, comment, share, feedback. Just tell us what you think if you
Yeah,
care.
just tell us what you think. Yeah, tell us if we're full of crap. 'Cause
We are. We absolutely are. You know what I'm gonna do the rest of the day? I'm gonna go take a nap.
oh, my day's just starting. I got lots of stuff to do.
No, actually, it's my birthday next week. So Anna's
No,
taking
really?
me down to Charleston. We're gonna go stay a night in
Aw,
Charleston.
you're gonna go into town.
We're gonna go to town. We're gonna be town people.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
So you're doing that tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna leave probably in the next couple hours.
Awesome. We'll have a good birthday celebration.
I'll send you pictures.
Please do.
Let me tell you.
All right.
Let me tell you how this played out real quick, because everybody loves one more story.
Mhm.
So I got a bag for Christmas, a travel bag, and I was like, "What the heck? I don't travel anymore." And then it's a really nice bag, but I had a
Mhm.
hard time reacting to it. So I was like, "Yay, bag!" And then for my birthday, I got a
Mhm.
letter on my desk in the mail
Ooh.
from Anna that was like, "Congratulations, you've won a trip." And then I got to pick one of 3 options of a trip that she's taking me on. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's so creative that way.
Yeah, she nailed it.
She
It's a lot of
always
fun.
nails it.
But she also got a trip out of the deal, which I think is rather sly on her part.
Yeah, Jason did that to me last year. He gave me a coupon book and he's like, 1 weekend in Vegas that you plan. Which actually works because he knows that I love to plan things. So, like,
Yeah.
really, he was just giving me a gift and giving him a gift.
Yeah, that's fine. A gift we can enjoy together.
Yeah, fun.
Okay. Well, do you want to check the comments, see if we need to talk to
Oh,
any of
yeah.
our people, and then we'll get going?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I feel like I should know how to do that.
Anna says we're here. We're good. Hi, Anna.
Can confirm. You guys are so good at technologies. Where's Mom? She hasn't commented yet. That makes me worried.
Oh, we missed our mom. She's probably gonna get on and be like, I missed it. Once people get into our momentum that we're here every Saturday morning Saturday afternoon for you, I'm having coffee.
Yeah.
They'll be here every Saturday, hanging out with the Sids. Can I call us the Sids?
Don't do that, weirdo.
I'm gonna try
All right.
that a couple more times.
All right. I'm going
All
to
right,
turn
love
off this live thing.
Okay, love you. Have a
Love you
good week.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right.